Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us. Joining me on Politics Tonight is APC governorship aspirant Babatunde Oralusi. Tonight we'll be discussing his aspirations, his plans for Osun State and his views on governance, development and the way forward. Babatunde Oralusi joined politics in 2003, served as Senior Special Assistant on Rural Development and Water Resources in Osun State from 2007. Today is now Chairman, Nigeria Capital Development Fund. Good evening to you, Mr. Oralusi. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me.
Right. So my first question to you would be, why are you running? Why Osun and why now? It's a simple yet serious question. In the past few weeks, I've realized that it's a question we all must begin to take seriously. So why are you running for governor, Mr. Oralusi?
Why I'm running for governor is because I believe there is serious need for development. And I believe that the effort of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for sustainable development in Nigeria requires people with capacity at the state and local level for proper implementation. I'm more interested in the job because we need to move forward in our country. We need to sustain our level of development as we are growing, and we need to be innovative in terms of governance approach. We need people who are not looking for power, but they're looking for development of our great country. So my interest is not because I'm looking for power or I just want to be governor of the ego or the privilege that is attached to the office. My own intention is, I believe I have the strong capacity to facilitate accelerated and sustainable innovative development in Osun State.
I mean, the next question would be, your chairman, Nigerian Capital Development Fund. Why is that not enough? Must you be the governor of Osun State to deliver good governance to your constituency? And this is because, recently I've spoken with some governorship aspirants and candidates. I have become more embarrassed on their behalf. And some Nigerian politicians think all it takes to be a governorship candidate is by being able to afford the party's interest form. Also, I began to ask questions like, why must it be the governorship position and not a local government chairmanship position, House of Assembly member? And I get embarrassed on their behalf when, from the simple questions I ask them, clearly they do not have answers to the challenges bedeviling their states. You began politics or joined politics in 2003. You served as Senior Special Assistant of Rural Development and Water Resources in Osun State. Today you're Chairman, Nigerian Capital Development Fund. Why is this not enough? And some say you're more known in development and business circles than at the grassroots level. How are you bridging that gap?
Okay, Nigerian Capital Development Fund is a private institution, and it's a self-sustainable institution, self-driven with corporate governance. So I've achieved that already. And the Nigerian Capital Development Fund has the qualified management to sustain the development and the operations of the organization. I believe I can do more than that. I also involved in a lot of philanthropic projects, community development project. So governor of the state is the public sector. And being a governor of the state also gives me opportunity to involve in sustainable development more in the sustainable development of Nigeria. I drive private sector investment, both local and foreign, and that's already there. So if I have opportunity to be a governor, I will equally do the same thing. I will create a model of a system that a state can be self-sustainable. If I'm able to become a governor of Osun State within 2 years, Osun State revenue, federal revenue, and the state-generated revenue, if not higher, it will be the same. Currently, it's literally less than 10% of the federal government revenue to the state. And also believe that the resources, as you can see what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done concerning getting more money for the states. to implement projects, and we can't even see the sign of it. As a fund manager and someone who is able to mobilize equity investment, I will use that funds to attract more and more investment for the state. And I can touch more live at the grassroots. Don't forget, as a private sector, there are certain areas you cannot invest or you cannot gamble into because of the investment risk. But when it's government, I can do that. So meaning that will give me opportunity to be able to reach more to the grassroots Nigerians, to the community people. When people say I'm more known in the business side and stuff, that's not true. I started politics as a grassroots person in my community. I've served in the state level and I've lived within my community. And I'm very close to a lot of youth. I've founded Next Generation, called Next Gen organization in Osun State. I founded Women Rising in Osun State. So I founded grassroots organization privately, which I sponsor, and giving them capacity development training from time to time to be able to be self-sustainable on their own and teach them on how to make a better decision for themselves. So saying I'm not a grassroots person is completely not true. I think they are more concerned about they are more concerned that I have the capacity to win the election for the state. Because again, getting the party ticket is one thing. Also winning the general election is another thing. So I have things to do. On day one, I know what to do in Osun State if I get to Osun State today, and which is going to be different from many other aspirants in this journey. So I am well grounded in my state, in my community, in my local government, and I also have the business experience and also public sector experience, social sector experience, locally and globally. So I'm sure with time you will be able to see much more from me.
Now is the time, Mr. Oralusi. So let's talk about it. So for you, what is the single most pressing challenge facing Osun State today? And why do you consider it the most pressing or the most urgent?
Okay, the most is unemployment. For me, that's the biggest problem for me. Unemployment of the youth. And that led to quite a lot of things. You have our ladies, you have crisis. They don't have jobs, so they have no option than to take whatever that comes their way. You have increase in uses of abuse of drugs. You have frauds and so many other things. Few weeks ago, I had an encounter with a young man who has been driving Okada to sponsor his education up to postgrad, up to PhD level. He did first degree, second degree, and PhD, doctorate degree. Still driving the same Okada and able to start a family because there's no opportunity. That's for me unacceptable in any civilized society. My first point of call is to address unemployment by creating infrastructure that will be able to accommodate a minimum of 5,000 youths that will get engaged in Osun State. And that will have recurrent impact on the economy, on the taxes, and so many other things. I will, in my first one year in office, I will make sure that I use the resources in the state to create business viability opportunity for women as well. Because I think in Osun State, women are very critical. Small-scale traders are very critical to the economy. Giving them opportunity to microcredits will be also one of the critical things that will be priority. Human capacity development is also, in general, including healthcare, is a very, very urgent thing that need an urgent attention, not only in Osun State, in entire Nigeria. So looking at the basic health. So I'm proposing immediately an health insurance for families so that people don't lose their capital, people don't lose their income because they have to get medical services. So they are critical things that I know, but all these rally around human capacity development, giving human opportunity, not dehumanizing them to follow you or dash them money, but giving them opportunity to grow at their own space. That was my critical approach.
All right, but from my conversation with two other aspirants, I mean, from the conversation I had with them, both of them believe that the biggest overarching challenge in Osun State at the moment is economic hardship rooted in poor governance and inadequate investments in infrastructure, education, and job creation. Osun State has one of the lowest internally generated revenues in Nigeria. How do you plan to address this?
Well, before you ask me, darling, I think I mentioned that within 2 years, I will make sure that the internal generating revenue of the state is higher than the federal allocation to the state.
How do you plan to make that happen?
That is very simple. One of my plans is to create agro-industrial hubs, tech hubs, and startup companies, and we'll be able to work locally and globally. And they will be able to create economic of an environment. Government's responsibility is not to be the business owner or to create a business. Government's responsibility is to create an enabling environment for the young people, for the generation that will create such businesses. And that will have recurrent impact on infrastructure and every other thing you mentioned. I have currently, as a chairman of the NCDF, we have infrastructure bond, we have several things. So I understand the financial modeling that we can apply in the state from the day one that will make the state very viable and sustainable. When you talk about when young people have ability to, when you get young people ability to work, then they can pay the tax. I think you could remember what the Ashwaj Bola Ahmed Tinubu did. That's Mr. President when he was Lagos State Governor. You know what the revenue was then, and you know how he increased the revenue of the state to what it is today in Nigeria. And you can see how the opportunity, how the job opportunity and other infrastructure created have recurring impact in continuing and sustainable revenue generation for the state till date. So these are model that works and that has been done severally by the people who really have developmental objective at heart for going into the public office. That's the way to go. So creating infrastructure. Continue, please.
All right. Well, I mean, you're not saying anything new, Mr. Oralusi, because I'm sure you know many past administrations have announced similar plans, but implementation has always failed. What would you do differently to ensure delivery?
Thank you. The question is, they announced the plan, have they done it before? I've built over 5,000 affordable homes across Nigeria, not as a governor. So if I tell you as a governor, I'm going to build affordable home, that is not saying I've done it. I'm currently working on 8 million health insurance for vulnerable and non-vulnerable Nigeria in partnership with federal government. I'm currently doing it. I'm working, we've set up infrastructure bond. I'm currently doing it. So I'm talking about what I'm doing on a daily basis, what I know, what I have in England, what I have in America, what I'm practicing from a daily. People that talk to you are talking about plan. I am talking about things that I do that you can fact check. So it's two different things.
All right. Let's go back to how I was asking you how you would ensure delivery. That you haven't answered. How would you ensure delivery? You've talked to me about the plans, but how would you ensure delivery of these plans? Because, I mean, generally...
It's very simple.
Okay, please go ahead.
It's very simple. How do I ensure delivery of the one we're doing right now? I created the model from scratch. I developed the concept from scratch. And I ensure delivery. So it's the same thing applies. If I build the human capacity, then I have people I can work with. Obviously, I can't be the one doing everything. But the critical thing is you must be able to invest in the people as well. And those people will be able to support you in delivery. When you don't have the competent people or you don't invest in the people, you're investing in infrastructure. Do they have the capacity to maintain the infrastructure? Do they have the capacity to sustain the infrastructure? That is very critical. One of the major problems in Nigeria where we are unable to ensure delivery of projects is because we do not invest in the human development capacity. We rather dehumanize them indirectly or directly. And eventually, what we do is not sustainable. And also community engagement. You know, I'm going to implement projects on community-based, cluster-based. Community are going to be involved in anything we do. So it's their project. So we are going to determine, currently, I see in some situation where you say, oh, okay, we built 3 kilometers across every local government. That is not what I think. Local government, every local government might have different needs that is pressing artists. So the development should be based on clusters, should be based on research and data driven. It shouldn't be a concept of, oh, I'm going to do this across, I'm going to do this across. It should be based on the community engagement that determines the project will do. One of the critical things also is good governance. For example, local government development, local government, you can see, I do tell people, our president has a good vision for Nigeria. And one of the reasons why I concluded that in my mind is when he came in, you could see how he fought for local government autonomy. And that will have given us at least solved 30% of our problem. Just imagine that a local government should receive 250 million naira every month directly and is able to implement the project directly. It will be different from what we have now, where it goes to one pause and one man decide, okay, you people build 1 kilometer, I will give you, you build this.
All right, then.
That is how government is done.
We still have about 40 minutes for this conversation, but let's take a break at this moment. And when we return, we'll continue this conversation. This is Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, everyone. This is Politics Tonight, and Babatunde Oralusi, Chairman, Nigeria Capital Development Fund, is my guest tonight. He's one of the aspirants hoping to grab the tickets of the APC in the Osun 2026 governorship election. Thank you for staying with us on the program, Mr. Oralusi. So let's go back to the issue of unemployment. I'm sure you made that a priority because, I mean, clearly Osun State has a large population of educated but unemployed or underemployed youth. And first, I would like to ask you why you thought, several empowerment programs in the state had failed. We've had, there was N-Power. Why have these programs failed to address this high number of unemployed youth in the state?
Because they are not innovative projects. There must be, employment has to be consistent and has to be, you must be able to look at the future of such projects. Most of the projects you have is their basic project that when you say, oh, you're going to be controlling traffic, and you downgraded a master's degree holder to go and join traffic control to become a traffic controller, and you expect that will be sustainable for him in a long term. It doesn't matter if he has spent time and the family to get the necessary education. Yeah, I'm not saying such jobs are not important, but you have to have multiple approach to it.
So, kindly hold on, sir. Let's make this practical. Kindly hold on, sir. So, if a young graduate in Osun State came to you today with no job and no opportunities, what practical plan would you offer? Not as a politician now, but as a leader committed to their future.
First thing is to look at getting such a person into an intern program. The interest, you see, in business, interest matters. I have to understand, I'm a venture capitalist, investing in a lot of startups. I have to understand what is the area of your interest. No matter how clueless that such person is, he will have one thing or the other she or he thinks about. And from that, I'll advise that, do you want to intern or do you want to go through an accelerator program? Those are the facilities that are available in Osun State to start with, not just giving such a person capital. Because if I give you capital without experience, how do you sustain that capital? How do you manage that capital in a long term? So it's going to be a bottom-up approach. We're going to start with intern, or I get you into accelerator if he's an entrepreneur. And from there, we can now build or look for opportunity or a better career opportunity, or getting the funding as a startup company. So the approach to these job creation are not sustainable and are not futuristic or work driven for the people. And at the end of the day, it is not interesting for them. So you just create something and you just move everyone into it and thinking that they will not tomorrow think about, okay, how long will I do this for? What will I achieve at the end of the day by doing this? So they lose interest in a very short time. So a society that wants to help the youth must actually mentor them. There's something we used to have in the school those days called counselors who from Form 5 or Form 3, you have a counselor you're discussing your career with, and that helps you to know and have a direction by the time you finish your secondary school before you get to the uni. In fact, that determines the course you're going to do when you get to the uni, so that you can build up on that after your basic education. So these are the things that will be reintroduced. These are the innovations that is done in other part of the world. And get the United States of America is built by the startups. And the startup market, the startup companies drive the capital market. You can see companies that started 20, 30 years ago are so rich, more and more richer than companies that have been existing for a long time, because they have opportunity for accelerator, they have opportunity for internship, they have opportunity to learn. But in our society, such thing doesn't exist. And that has to be from the grassroots, where in my community there's a job center, in my community there's an intern opportunity, in my community there's accelerator, either in the technology sector, either in the agricultural sector, either in parking and expertise, depending on the area. These are the areas we're going to invest money of the state. And that will be able to attract equity investors globally. Because I give you a model of Indian, or I give you a model of Philippine position, they are you to be HR. So when most of the companies you see overseas, you see a company in England, but the HR team is actually in Philippines, because they create ops where most of these young people are trained as an expert in HR, human resources. So at the end of the day, all American companies now goes to Philippines to recruit. And today is a virtual world where your staff could be any part of the world, and they will be operating in your country wherever your business is based. You also have Indian, where they develop their young people in tech. They created multiple tech ops. Today, everybody goes to Indian to get staffs based in Indian, and it's also cost effective. So these are the innovative approach. It's not just creating oh yes or oh no. You're going to create something that will make them to feel good as well, that they will have interest in the job. They will also see the future of it. So we can make ops in Nigeria. We can use Osun State as a model, where there will be multiple. Osun State could be a marketplace for certain products that we have that can be sold globally. Today is a world where we are all one. And so these are what I mean when I mean innovative, something different. I really mean something different.
So, sorry, would you agree with me if I said that perhaps one of the challenges facing, most of the states in Nigeria is political leaders, elected leaders, copying models from other parts of the world, when in fact you could walk up to some of your citizens or residents and ask them what exactly they want from you, instead of copying models from all of these other countries? Do you agree with me?
Sorry, can you repeat that? The next one. Can you repeat, please?
So I'm just thinking, perhaps one of the challenges we have in this part of the world is when we try to copy models that have worked for other countries around the world, instead of sitting down, sit with your people and ask them what exactly do they want from you. Do you agree that perhaps this could have been one of the challenges we faced since independence?
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, because you see, even if you're used to technology business, when you say you develop a code or you develop anything, somebody else has developed something somewhere, and at the end of the day, you advance it. And that's where you see, in the case of BlackBerry, and when WhatsApp came, he advanced what BlackBerry has done. BlackBerry did this intercall, but limited it to their own phone. And WhatsApp came and said you can use any phone and start a WhatsApp, and they get the market. So there's nothing you need to learn from others. Look, Chinese invest so much money on their young people to go to America, to go to Germany, to go and learn, and make sure they return back to their country to use that knowledge to develop the society. That's how industrialization of China came about. Go and see the model in Singapore. They went out, they learned quite a lot of things, and you must learn. What you're saying now is that, oh, why do we learn from the other society? They are advanced, they have the money. The budget of America on research and development is multi-billion dollars. We don't have such money to develop, to go and research and do all those have those opportunities. So the only way we can do is to learn from what they've researched, what they've done, so that we can apply it in our society. The problem is that we copy, but we don't do it. We lie. If we copy, if we want, how did China get it right? You see every day American accuse China intellectual property stealing because they build planes, they build all those things from the intellectual property they got. Right. They send them out to go and learn. So there's nothing like you cannot learn from other society who has the resources to do those research and development. The problem is the implementation, like Riley said. You must, when you learn it, you must do it the way it should be done. You can't cut corners. But here, we don't even learn it. How many of our young people go to take up in DC to go and so that is the problem. It's not that we must have to learn from others.
Right, and I also think that when you're communicating for development, it's important to engage the people who are in dire need of that development. But let's talk about politics, because until 2021, when you moved to the APC, you were Director General of the Foreigner Group during former President Goodluck Jonathan's campaign. Am I correct?
Correct, yes.
So, given your past affiliations, Mr. Oralusi, how do you plan to convince APC loyalists and grassroots members that you're truly committed to the party, especially for those who call you an opportunist?
Well, the reason for me moving from PDP to APC is based on the ideology, and it's also based on the capacity of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he became the president of Nigeria. Nigeria comes first for me. I mean, before a member of a political party. So I want to do politics mainly because of development of Nigeria, not only because of my personal gain or my personal interest. So if a political party have the ideology, have the team and the people who are genuinely willing to develop Nigeria, that's where I think I belong. And that's what I've seen in the APC, and that's why I've joined the APC. And I'm not sure the new APC people are really concerned about that, because even non-politicians are currently on the appointment of APC as the minister, as DG, because the party and Mr. President is interested in developing Nigeria, looking for competent guys who can actually do the job, not only because they are a member of his political party.
So let's talk about this ideology. How then do you reconcile the ideological differences between the two parties, PDP and APC? For those who also question your political consistency, how do you defend your record?
Yeah, look, like I said, political party, APC or PDP is a name. It is driven by human beings. And human beings determine what the ideology is going to be. If you have a good leader today who has the vision, then you get the result, or you are able to align yourself with that. If another leader comes tomorrow who is completely off that and he's not interested in what you're interested in, then it's a different case.
That's not convincing enough, Mr. Oralusi, because the leaders of both parties will tell you that both parties have different ideologies.
But there is a reality. The reality is that Nigeria Commonwealth has been taken by few. Few people feel entitled on these resources, and they keep stealing. That's the fact here. Nigerians are suffering, and people are getting richer on a daily basis. They are getting billions. You see names mentioned.
And you're telling also people that you're not one of them.
I am not one of them, and I will never be one of them.
But don't you also think party switching undermines trust in politicians? Do you think the culture of frequent party switching in Nigeria is healthy for democracy?
Like I said, how will I stay where it's not healthy, where there's no corporate governance, where it's not good governance, where the level of corruption is high? Why should I stay there because I just want to be loyal to a political party? That's not my objective in life. My objective is development, like I said to you.
So you're saying if the APC does not give you the ticket, you would not return to PDP?
Obviously not. I will return to PDP. Definitely not. But the point, like I said to you, is that the only reason for me to go to a political party is if the objective of the party has to do with Nigerians, I have to do with the development of the Nigerians, I have to do with the development of the grassroots, of the young people. That is my interest. So if you want to drive me or invite me to a political party, that's what you have to sell to me to convince me.
All right. Let's talk about your leadership at the Nigerian Capital Development Fund. There have been growing concerns and public criticism about the way NCDF is being run. Some stakeholders have raised concerns about transparency and accountability under your leadership at NCDF. How do you respond to these criticisms? What is your honest assessment of your leadership so far?
Honestly, I've never heard about that. Like I said, NCDF is a private organization. It's not a public organization. So whoever we have a complaint in our portal. If we ever have any issue, they are free to bring it forward. But I've never heard of such, sincerely. Never such thing has never happened. The only thing I heard about one time was some group of people writing a fictitious petition against me, and what I did was to get in touch with the security agency or investigative agency that was involved, and they wrote me a letter, and I can show you the copy. I've never been investigated, and I'm not under investigation, and nothing has ever gone wrong in the Nigerian Capital Development Fund. And I have the letter I can show you. And that was written recently to me. So I've never been under any investigation. So that's not true. It's fictitious people that are saying that. They're just using that to see if they could blackmail.
I mean, we'll continue to put our ears on the ground.
I've never been investigated. You can ask them and any of that. I'm not under any investigation. I'm not under any court process. I'm not under anything. I am free person. I'm a free person.
Like I said, we'll continue to put our ears on the ground. But how has your experience as chairman of the Nigerian Capital Development Fund prepared you for the complexities of state governance?
Yeah, because I work with governors every day. I work with state every day. I work with local government every day. I design models for government every day. I help state government to design investment plan, financial modeling, So it's as business for me, it's the business as usual, because that's what I do on a daily basis. I work in the north, I work in the southwest, I work in the south. I travel on a daily basis. I just returned from the Edo State Diaspora Investment Summit in Scotland, where I supported the Edo State in attracting more investment with what we are doing in the state. So with the governor, Monday Okpebolo. So this is what I do every day of my life, and I understand the problem that the state governors and state governments also have. And currently, I provide quite a lot of solutions to some that I see that they are willing to develop strategy for sustainable growth in their own states. So it helps me to prepare, really, because we basically NCDF work with public sector. Is a public sector partner as a BOT, Build Trust and Transfer project, or as PPP. So that gives me opportunity to engage with officials of the government, both state and federal, on daily basis. And now we have extended that to local government, because we are also supporting this local government autonomy, because that we really, really get to the grassroots. So I'm really passionate. And I also, we also always appreciate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for taking that bold step, regardless of the political consequence, promoting local government autonomy in Nigeria. That is incredible action, and it's commendable.
Marini, Mr. Oralusi, what does inclusive development mean to you in practical terms? How do you plan to bridge that gap, the urban-rural infrastructural gap in Osun State?
You see, that is part of what we're saying. If you want to build inclusive development in any society, then the approach is what we just talked about. The closest to the grassroots in Nigeria today, based on our structure, is local government. So when a local government is not functioning, what inclusive are we talking about? But if the local government functions, then inclusive is easy, because local government is where every community is where you have what, then you have the local government structure. So what to me, that's why I said I'm so passionate about this local government autonomy, because of inclusivity. If we have a sustainable local government structure that has the autonomous, then to make sure that inclusive government to operate inclusive government will be much easier, because local government is the closest to the grassroots. So for me to do that, I will make sure, and I will stand in the forefront of local government autonomy, both the financial structure, economical, and all aspects of autonomy, to make sure that we have complete access to the grassroots.
And you're from the royal Orofe dynasty of Asian Ife. I mean, there's been considerable debate around zoning for 2026. You know, one question I've consistently asked APC chieftains who have been on this program is, if the APC were to throw the ticket open, they think someone like Senator Mishori stands a realistic chance against other aspirants from other zones like Osun West. But most times, you know, they sound either here or there. But you're a contender. Would you support a consensus candidate if the zoning arrangement doesn't favor your region or political interest?
Well, you're breaking up a bit. I heard some part and I didn't hear some part. I don't want to give a wrong answer. Could you please kindly repeat so that I can get it clear?
I was talking about this considerable debate around zoning. I heard 2026, yes. And I was asking if you would support a consensus candidate, even if the zoning arrangement doesn't favor your region or your political interest.
Well, every region of Osun need one another to become a governor. So even if it's zoned to one area, they also need the other area. But in the fairness of equity and justice, Ife also deserves to be a governor in Osun State. We have not been one till date. And I'm not the only person contesting from that zone, from the zone where I come from. Like you said, we have distinguished Senator Iola Mishori, and we also have, I think, one of the senator, Omohurare, yes, also that is contesting from that. Yeah, so that is fine, but that's an internal affairs of Osun State, of Ile-Ife. At the right time, we will be able to sit down together on the round table and to discuss that. But for me, I think I'm the youngest among all, and I think I'm still the most best fit for the job. Adeleke, I'm not the type that criticize. I'm not good at that. But for me, what I can say is that, like you said earlier, there's nothing changing in Osun State. I don't think he has what it takes to govern Osun State the way we can have accelerated development. I don't think his government is innovative enough to address the challenges we have in Osun State. I think it's still conventional, business as usual. And the world is changing. The approach needs to be different. I'm not sure he's best fit for the job. And his popularity is based on, when people talk about popularity, based on what? Popularity should be based on success. So you have to tell me the success story. You have to tell me the successful project. You have to tell me the successful infrastructure. So those are the things you can tell me for me to say, oh, this person is popular. But when the popularity is based on dancing or some social side of his own strength, I don't see that as popularity anyway. I just see that as fun, So I can appreciate him for being funny, yes, but we are talking about development. We're talking about life of a human being. We're talking about a whole PhD holder still driving Okada to survive. That's my concern. That goes beyond fun.
Our own job is to watch and see and come back and ask the right question. But quickly, before I let you go, Mr. Oralusi, Aregbesol's recent alignment with the ADC in Osun State, what does it mean for APC's 2026 strategy? Is a former governor a former minister. I mean, he was once a strong pillar of the APC in Osun State. Do you consider his exit a necessary part of realignment?
The ADC, you mean, right? I'm correct? You mean ADC, right?
Yes, and Rauf Aregbesol's alignment with the AGC.
I don't see anything about ADC. I think it's just a group of people that are angry and they want to form their own structure. And also, I don't even believe in you coming together because you're only thinking of how do you fight someone. And you can see with the result of the last election, I'm not sure they are performing anywhere. So I think even if anything is going to happen, it's not now. So I'm seeing them as threats at the moment. It will take them time because the objective of coming together actually is not even godly in the first instance. And I'm a godly person. So
quickly, Mr. Oralusi, do you have the backing of any major bloc within the party, or are you running as an independent-minded candidate?
Well, I don't see major bloc. I mean, look, the God gives power. God gives you, God create, God build leaders. So I'm not a desperate candidate that wants to fight anyone. I appreciate all the other aspirants. Everybody deserves to be what they have the right to their own ambition. But my own point is simple. I'm young, active, best for the job based on the competency and innovation. So if we want to win the states, if we want to win the general election, who have what it takes to confront the opposition, the ruling party, I think I'm most competent for that.
All right, then. Great conversation. Thank you so much for speaking with us, and we wish you all the very best. Babatunde Oralusi, Chairman, Nigeria Capital Development Fund. Thank you so much for your time. Please have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I'm Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.